We have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that, even in a Portland case. We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
Thank God it is finally time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Rachel, go on and on. There's no hurry.
I have been looking forward to hearing what you have to say in your A block tonight all weekend long. I cannot wait.
Well, you know, Rachel, in 2020, when Donald Trump was in what was then his failed re-election campaign for president against Joe Biden, he in an interview with George Stephanopoulos, he very specifically said the president cannot just send in the National Guard to any state. The governor has to request it, and the president cannot just send them in. And he said, I could, something like, I could call an insurrection, but, that hasn't happened. And so he's on record, of course, saying exactly the opposite of what he's now doing, as he has been with so many things. But this one is really quite striking. I think we're going to have that video ready. Actually, they're working on it right now. The longer you and I talk about it, it gives them a minute in the control room to get that piece inserted where I'm hoping it's going to be inserted when we need it. But it's right there, and we'll have it by the end of the hour if we don't have it early.
I mean, the difference between when he was talking about that then and what he's doing now is that whether or not he remembers what he once knew about how America works, he's decided that he's throwing it all out, dictator from day one, and, gonna terminate parts of the Constitution. And he's decided that he doesn't matter what Congress does and it doesn't matter what the courts do, that he's just the strong man. And he's going to be, in for another term in 2028. I mean, he's decided to throw out all the rules. The thing that has done, as far as I'm concerned, is make him very boring. Because it's like, it's all on the table. We know exactly what he's doing. We know exactly what his intentions are. He's blonde Berlusconi. This is just, he's just trying to do the same thing all the other strongmen and would-be dictators do all over the country. I think the really interesting question is what the country lets him get away with. And we're seeing a really interesting test of that right now all over the country, especially this week.
And we're also seeing the difference between the advisors he had in the White House the first time and the people he has now. He obviously had a White House counsel in his first presidency who was telling him, no, it's illegal. You cannot just send in the National Guard. The governor has to request it. And now he has people telling him whatever he wants to hear, whenever he wants to hear it.
Yeah, I think that if we can intuit what he's being told, I think based on the pattern of his actions, we can probably intuit that what he's being told is, yeah, it's illegal, therefore go do it. I mean, I think that the more laws he breaks, the more blatantly unconstitutional things he both proposes and tries, I think the more they think power accrues to him because he's less constrained by things that don't actually stop him. And so ultimately, the courts are pushing him back. Congress, to a certain extent, is pushing him back a little bit, although I think a little bit more than they're given credit for. But mostly it's the people pushing him back. He's deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular and underwater on every issue. And he is absolutely panicked by the protests against him, to the point where he's already playing the biggest cards that he's got, and he's not even 6 months into this term. I just think we're getting the test really early, and I think that he's failing.
By the way, one of the important things that Mayor Bass brought out when you were talking to her about what's happening in Los Angeles tonight, and you know this, but just how isolated and tiny a spot of Los Angeles we're talking about. Downtown Los Angeles, where in the areas where these office buildings are, very few people live anywhere near that. It's not a residential area. Most people living in Los Angeles, most Los Angeles local taxpayers never set foot in that part of Los Angeles. You can easily live a life there and never see it. And so it is this really isolated little spot that doesn't in any way disrupt any protest that's being held down there outside a federal building, doesn't in any way disrupt anything about the way life is lived in Los Angeles.
Even if these protests were 100 times the size that they are, there still wouldn't be an operational reason to bring in active duty troops or federalized National Guard. It's not that sort of thing. This is obviously not operationally necessitated, right, in terms of the security of the city. He's doing this because he's panicking and thinks that he looks weak, and therefore he has to do something that seems strong. And so we will have tanks destroying the streets of Washington this Saturday, and we will have National Guardsmen and active duty U.S. Marines standing around Los Angeles wondering what this has to do with their military careers. And it's all because he has no freaking idea how to deal with this politically, and he's absolutely panicking about the, I think, trenchant and joyful and sustainable opposition against him.
Yeah, it is clearly something he has been all too eager to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Once you've done this, though, there's not much else to do. Sorry, big guy, last card.
Right. We will see. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thanks.